What is up, y'all? Welcome on back to another episode. The Final Destination franchise returns with its sixth entry titled Final Destination Bloodlines. It is the first entry in this series in 14 years, so crazy amount of time in between number 5 and then this one. Final Destination Bloodlines follows our main character, Stephanie, as she returns home from college after having some reoccurring nightmares of her grandmother dying in this big tragedy that happened in the 60s or the 70s. And death is after her entire family this time around. They are changing up the formula just enough to make this movie fresh. And that leads me into whether or not this movie is worth going to see in theaters or waiting till it comes out on digital. I'm of the camp that you should 100% go see this in theaters. Guys, it's not very often that we get a crowd-pleasing horror movie. You know, a horror movie that I think a lot of people can find something in it to really enjoy. And the comedy aspect of this franchise has always been there since number 3, if I'm not mistaken. This one is cranked up to like a level 10. This movie is hilarious. I am not a big fan of horror comedies. If you've been listening or watching the podcast for any length of time, you know that is my least favorite horror subgenre is the comedic horror movies. And this one knocks it out of the park. I think this is going to be one of the best movies of the year. Crazy thing to say. I've watched 10 movies that have been released in 2025, and as of right now, this is numero uno. This was legitimately one of my favorite theater experiences that I've had in quite a while. I ended up going to see this with a handful of Patreon supporters and some people from work, and we had a fucking blast. Like, just all the kills were so elaborate, which, by the way, the kills this time around, I think these are some of the best kills in the franchise. Like, just from top to bottom, I think they are all elaborate. I think they are all just comedic in a sense, with just like how they're set up and then how the death actually happens. It really feels like they weren't lazy with the kills this time. They actually put some thought into them, and it really shows, because all of the deaths, I don't know of a single death in this movie that I was just like, that was kind of lame. I'm actually in the middle of watching all the Final Destination movies so I can have a little rankings episode. And yeah, by far, these are the best kills. And one of the best things about the kills, aside from the fact like the designs of the kills are really great, aside from that, I think they used a great combination of CGI and practical effects. I was in the middle of watching the Final Destination, the 4th one, which everyone fucking hates. And watching that movie is just like, it is one of the ugliest movies that you could ever watch. And then watching this one with the death scenes, with the practical effects mixed in with a little bit of CGI, it looks fucking great. I really enjoyed the look of this film, and especially the way they went about doing the deaths. And, you know, making sure that it's not strictly CGI, because that just takes you out of the movie. It's fake looking. And again, I think they just did a good job of making those deaths look fucking legit. And yeah, I had so much fucking fun with every death scene. But one thing that comes with a Final Destination movie are the characters. Are the characters good? Obviously, we come to these movies for the deaths, for the kills, and we fucking love that. Most of the time, they knock those out of the park, this one being more so than the others. But the thing that sets a Final Destination movie apart from all of the others are the characters. Do we get attached to the characters in this movie? I think for the most part, they do a good job of giving us characters that I wouldn't say necessarily invested in, but we're interested in. I don't find them overly compelling by any means, but I think they're good enough to sit there and make me invested in watching them die. Like, I think they do a good enough job of doing that throughout the movie. There's a couple of fucking misses. The mom in this movie is very, very underwhelming. I really don't know why she's even in the movie or what they were thinking about doing with her character. The performance wasn't that great. The character herself wasn't all that great. Definitely the weakest aspect of the movie, for sure. And then on the flip side of things, I did a teaser trailer reaction, which you you can find on our channel. And this character, Eric, was like the main focal point of that teaser trailer. And he was by far the best thing about this movie outside of the deaths. I think he brought a lot of great comedy, and it wasn't like misplaced comedy. It's not like, MCU Marvel humor where it just doesn't fucking make any sense and they're just doing the humor at the wrong times. No, like I thought they had great comedic timing with his character, and all of his scenes were just great. He was a scene stealer in this movie. His character's great. I thought the performance from the actor Richard Harmon was also great on top of that. And then the actress that plays the main girl, Caitlin Sanawana, plays Stephanie. I thought she did a pretty good job throughout the entire movie. One of the stronger leads for this franchise for sure. And again, across the board, I think all of these characters do enough to be serviceable to the story. I think in terms of character interactions and the relationships with each other, one of the stronger ensemble casts that we've gotten in this franchise. And then the last thing that I want to mention about this movie is Tony Todd. He returns in this movie. This was his final performance. He ended up passing away in 2024. And I thought they did such a great job of giving him an appropriate send-off. I'm not going to spoil the scene here, but they did an amazing job of making it almost kind of like breaking the fourth wall, so to speak, where he's reflective of not only his own life and what he's going through. And I think a lot of it was improvised, if I'm not mistaken, from what I've read. But a lot of what he said in the scene it felt reflective of what he was going through with his personal life up until his death. It was the perfect send off for this character. And again, it hits a little bit harder knowing that he ended up dying after the scene. And the fact is that he was reflective of that and he had knowledge of that, I think makes this scene way more impactful. So if you're a fan of Final Destination and the series, I think you're really going to love this final scene with Tony Todd. So yeah, guys, I think you should 100% go see this in theaters. I had a hell of a time watching this with some of our Patreon supporters and people from work. Great fucking time. So I wanted to do this as a non-spoiler review. I wanted to get my thoughts out there, kind of get people to go see this movie because this deserves to be seen in the theater with a large crowd, with a group of friends. Don't go see this by yourself, okay? Go fucking have fun. Go throw down with some of your friends, get a group together, and go see this movie. This was a sold-out theater. Was it almost 3 weeks since it got released, and it was a sold-out theater. And it was a great crowd at that. So go see this in theaters with a large group of people. Have fucking fun, because that's where I think this movie's really going to shine, is watching it with some of your closest friends. But I do plan on doing a spoiler review of this movie because I think it is too damn good to not talk about in depth with some of the deaths in this movie. I think we have to fucking talk about it. So be on the lookout for that spoiler review coming out probably in the next week or two. But until then, you can go to our channel, check out all of our reviews that we've had. We just finished up Andor and The Last of Us Season 2. We're going to be starting Shogun and Chernobyl here in the next week or so. So be on the lookout for that. And then the summer's about to hit. Guys, I'll be watching all the fucking new releases. So again, hit that like, subscribe button and turn on the notifications so that when I drop one of those new reviews, you'll know ahead of time whether or not to go see movies in theaters and or if you're going to waste more money ahead of time. So go ahead and do that. We'd greatly appreciate it. Leave us a comment down below of what you thought about Final Destination Bloodlines. I appreciate y'all joining me on this review. I will catch y'all next time on another one. Latest.